Hi there, it's Mark
and Amanda
from Fresh Perspectives. And we just wanted to share with you that a couple of weeks ago, we had a special guest for our Fresh Perspectives podcast. And he shared very personal experiences.
Yes, he did.
Here on our campus when he attended probably about 15 years ago, and he used the N-word. He used it both in our interview with him, and he also used it in one of his pieces of art,
Yes.
spoken word. So I'm going to, Amanda, just jump in.
Yeah, we understand the N-word is very controversial in especially the Black community of how people experience that word. And so we just wanted to give this kind of little bit of disclaimer for people if they want to fast forward it of his experience or to at least take care of yourself, because everyone has an experience with that N-word most of the time.
That's true.
You've been affected, or our family members have been affected. You know, our ancestors have been affected by this word. So me and Mark both understand this word. We take a different approach at it and a perspective differently. And that's what makes us amazing at our job as Fresh Perspective, right?
I think so, yes.
So we just wanted to put that out there just to let people know and viewers know when they're listening and watching what to kind of trigger warnings, in a sense, to let them know to take care of yourself.
Yes. Yeah. So this is your official trigger warning. Again, if you choose to watch it, please feel free. We think it's an amazing, amazing podcast. And it's not reflective of any, does not reflect Green River College currently or things that are happening, but we do want to make sure that you take care of yourself and enjoy the podcast.
And happy Black History Month.
Yes.
Welcome to the first of many congregations where we speak life and not just conscious statements, contemplating on what's wrong and right, fair and just, while adjusting to constant fakeness. Take this time to wake up and see yourselves and stay true to believe yourselves. Because inside the truth lies the power to break those seams and make your dreams the real life you need yourself. You need your health, your mind, your spirit and soul. So feed a healthy mind and your spirit will grow. And in need of peaceful mind, we lease the time to reach and find the wisdom inherently known. Our parents alone knew that it would take a village. So we were raised by the hands it would take to build it. And learned brilliance and resilience, showered in praise, and seldom sipped sap from trees soured by slaves, hung for living free and freed from living wage, feared because of knowing, followed because of growing power, to turn the sour slimmage to minute made our minutes, made from menaces to white society. Sinners made from sentences, no rights apply to me. This ideology of the fight inside of me, while being 2/3 of a life is mockery. I am what you are, the last of supreme beings to map the earth and bend the skies. But also, we are the first supreme beings to live in a world that depends on lies. So break out of that disguise, trying to beat the system. And stop fake crying, trying to be a victim. Look, my mama was a victim. My daddy was a victim. My great-great-grandmother's cabbie was a victim. And to my firstborn son, your daddy was a victim, but I'll die twice before I live a half-life where you would even understand what it's like to be a victim. So enough about problems. We're here for solutions. It starts with the words in our own Constitution. And then we can stop all this marching and stamping because MLK got set up just like Fred Hampton. Look, I'm so tired of this battle of the riches. I've never seen a billionaire lost in the trenches, and if you didn't have 8 kids in a motel full of crackheads, then you don't know what it's like to be evicted. If you've never been stripped of your native tongue and culture, then you don't know what it's like to be conflicted. If you've never been half yourself 100% of the time, then you don't know what it's like to be restricted. And if you didn't cry when George Stinney was electrified, then why will you know what it's like to be convicted? With every generational act, we still facing the fact that we lack the right to be existing, but we keep pushing, and we keep praying, and we keep saying that naturally we gifted. So here is the end of financial apartheid, mental segregation, spiritual hog ties, misinformation, appropriation, forced relocation, the nation's blind side. We arm the minds to protect the soul. They arm the minds to protect the gold. We work a lifetime to pay for lifetime, enslaved by light shine until the shine is dull. So here is a new beginning, the start of a new startup where parts of the truth are winning, where infectious lies and infected lives can live for no longer. They're soon diminished. Now we stand stronger, louder, prouder, dug tug that crown up out the ground that's ours. Reclaim the throne from these spineless cowards. The ancestors rage, the base of my power. From the line of Shaka, I align my chakras with the spirit of Zulu, Khan, and Baraka. Garvey, James Baldwin, Tubman, Nat Turner, the courage of Malcolm, the truth of Sojourner, the freedom of W.E.B. and the lost scholars, and anybody else who replaces false knowledge. To replace it with love, to replace it with freedom, and thank the past for showing us the path to perceive it. So trust and believe it. Only speak to abolish, with the body as the temple and the mouth as the altar. And from the tips of the tongue we pay spiritual homage. Do you mind if I join you?
Be my guest.
Please do. Okay. Let's do this. Wow. All right.
I'm
Give yourself a moment.
I know.
See, I'm used to.
I know.
He needs a moment.
I'm gonna take a moment
but
too, okay?
Yeah. Wow.
these are like his shows. See, you haven't seen it.
I know.
Where you been, brother? Where you been, Mark?
Oh, you'll be seeing more.
Come on.
I'm sending you some emails when
send me
he's in
some- that's
town.
exactly it.
He
Yeah.
does some shows in Seattle sometimes,
Okay.
so I'll let you know.
All right.
He's
Sounds
from
good.
Seattle too.
Okay, you from Seattle, and
I
never
live in
seen
Seattle.
and you ain't never came to a show.
No.
That's
I at
crazy.
least came
Wow.
to Tacoma too. Okay, that's how dedicated I am.
It's different. It's different. You got to come out. Now you got to. What
Now
part
I
you
have to.
from?
Now I need to. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's love, like at his performance shows.
Yeah.
So many different artists that come to the stage and just the expression and the love they pour out and their gifts. So thank you for showing us your gift and talent. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
We need more people with your gift.
Yeah.
But we're happy that you have this gift and you're sharing it.
Yeah. Well, I do what I can, you know? And for everything else that's not there, I guess the rest of artistry finds a way. So I only know what I'm doing when I'm supposed to.
So what inspired you to become a poet?
You know, so I started off as a rapper. So everyone has their journey. I didn't start off as a poet. I didn't come to the concept of being a poet when I was young in the 90s. If you were a poet, you know, you got made fun of. So we're like, oh, you soft, you writing poetry, right? So I would only write poetry, you know, to give to a girl and give her a flower, and all the friends would make fun of you,
he's
right?
spitting game with this.
Well, you know, back then it was, you know, little boys, so it's a joke to them. So around 12, 13, that changed from poetry to rapping, and we all wanted to rap, and then we started beatboxing and doing the whole nine.
Okay.
And that was what consumed my life until 23. When I was 23, I wanted to write as well. I was going around Seattle. I was going literally from Seattle to Tacoma, battling rappers just to see how good I was. And I would be chewing up rappers left and right. But I wanted to, the problem was on the beat, I couldn't find the right beat to encompass all of my lyricism at the same time. And so I'd have to cut it up in part and parcel. And it just felt like a part of me. So I figured, all right, let me just start writing and see what happens. And I just kept writing and writing, ended up at an open mic just because a friend of mine had an open mic. And she said, oh, that's a poem. You should write another one. And so I wrote like an official poem and standing ovation, and then the rest was history.
Wow.
Okay,
So
battle
that was
rapper.
at 23, you said? Roughly right around.
23 is when I like started writing.
Okay.
I didn't become like a realized poet until probably like 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not going to ask how old you are now. So
You can. Yeah.
no. No.
I'm still young.
You're still young. You're a
Yeah.
baby. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay.
I got years.
You got years. I know.
He's like,
I
I'm
know.
okay telling you my age.
You know, I think when I get 60 or 70, I'll tell people my age then, because then it's like a badge of honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
like,
it
hey, I'm
is.
60. I'm
Yes,
black
it
and
is.
60.
Yes, it is. Yes,
And I'm
it is.
walking, and I got all my faculties in place.
Yep.
All right, these are check marks of me doing something great in my life.
That's
you know?
exactly right. That's
So-
exactly right.
I look forward to it. My
Okay.
great-great-grandma, she lived to be 112, so
Okay.
I look forward to it. Yeah.
You've got longevity. Yep, I have similar longevity in my
We all
family,
do.
so, yeah.
We all do. You know, it's something we just got to access.
Yep.
You know, moving the right way, thinking the right way,
Yep.
keeping I call it the community, but really keeping the people around you, like your circle around you.
Yep.
Not just your family, but the people you see on a constant basis. Those are people who constitute as your family as well.
Yep.
The environment you put yourself in, are they good or bad for you? Those constitute to your aging as well. You know, stress, science says stress will age you, you know?
It will.
And so my great-great-grandma, she lived her best life.
Yeah, she did.
She lived her absolute best life. There was no questions about it.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. So what inspires you? We talked about inspiration, but what is your process then when you are creating something? Because you've gone from now, you've talked about hip hop or the rapping and everything, going from that to creating a poem. So what is that process like? Like,
It's the same thing.
you just close your eyes and let it go?
Like this beautiful poem that you just did. Yeah.
Yeah, the poems that I do now are completely different than the ones that I started with,
Okay.
but the method is the same.
Okay.
And so it just comes from writing, right? So I was told when I was younger that, there's a poem, but then there's the story.
Yeah.
And so the poem is just the tool that you use to tell the story. But the story is not changing because the story is the story, right?
Yeah.
And so if you switch it to a poem, if you switch it to a rap, if you switch it to a song or a dance, the story remains the same in all avenues.
Right.
But it's what you use in terms of the method to tell the story, that just becomes it.
Okay.
And so over time, over 10 years, I've been proficient in just telling the story of what I believe the story is, or at the moment what the story is. There's a story in everything, right? There's a story in this plant right here. There's a story in the lights. There's a story in your curls. There's a story in your shirt. There's a story amongst what built the place we're in right now. Everything is a story.
Okay.
And so just how you tell the story is really what it comes down to.
I need a story on baldness.
You need a story on baldness?
I need you to
Are you
do
balding or are you choosing to be bald? Those two different things.
If I don't cut it, I'm bozo.
Okay, all right.
Next time I see you,
Cul-de-sac. I
let's
got
talk.
you. Yeah. I would say this. In my culture. So when you lose someone, right? So when there's a loss or when there's a drastic life change, right? Then you would shave, and you would shave everything. So it's like the stripping.
Right.
It's like the getting rid of the old process of who you are, right? Into becoming the new version of who you are. And so for me personally, I don't have a problem with baldness because
I don't either.
I love it. I love to see it. I love to see the whole of people. But at the same time, there's like 4 or 5 stories we can come up with just around balding.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we gonna make something work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talk about like the process, right? Like, okay, just write. But where's that inspiration? Where's like is there some hard parts of writing? Like, do you get stumped where you're just like, I'm gonna walk away from this, or this is too heavy, where I need a moment I want to walk through it, right?
Right.
Because I have a story to tell. As you say, there's stories in everything we do. But is there a point in your craft that you're just like, this is too much, and it's too hard to write, or at this moment I need
to back away.
I need to back away.
Yeah. That's interesting. I know poets who do that, but that's not me. Because I know it's just a story, right? And even if it's like, so I started by writing, I started writing pure reality from my own perspective, right? But then it had to expand. So then you get to the stories of other people's and their perspectives. So then the poems the stories become those vicarious, right? Yeah. And then you start to combine your experience with others' experience and then create a viewpoint of all our experience to help determine or help define the layout of the full experience, or as much as I would like to think the fullness of Black experience would be, right? And then you find out later those things kind of compound on top of everyone's experience because we all in the same country kind of live in the same experiences, but the Black experience is exclusive to Black people, right? And so with other stories, the challenge, I would say that a challenge that comes up when I talk to other poets, and I got poet friends, they would say stuff like, man, I was writing this line and I just couldn't, I had to stop after that because I felt that line. And for me, I'll write the line and feel the line and I'll understand all my emotion around that line, but I also understand that, hey, that's That's part of what it is. And if I stop it now, then who's to say the next line won't be the thing that carries me through it, you know? So I'm like, I don't want to get stuck at the point of what I think no return is. I want to keep going through it because the story didn't stop when it got hard, you know?
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to know my great-great-grandmother growing up. And so she has a million stories about her in slavery because she escaped slavery from Louisiana and he came up to Chicago. And so that, like, just that journey, it wasn't a stopping point in the journey. She didn't just stop one day and say, oh, I'm tired. I can't run no more. I hope they catch me. No, so you got to keep going. And so as much as it hurts, as much as there's pain, as much as there's trial and tribulation and all that goes along with it, you know, I think the important thing for how I write anyway is I keep going and the story unfolds.
It sounds like it's very therapeutic in the process for sometimes.
It can be. I get different therapies, but yeah, I mean, that can be one too, you know?
So is writing to you just an art, like a form of expression of who you are and your gift?
I don't want to sound like a poet when I say this.
It's okay.
But I don't have a choice. So I don't let art be a defining factor in the things I do in life. And then I also don't let words define what I do, right? And so if I were to say writing is an art form, people would understand that. But if I were to say writing is just another way to me to communicate, not to others, but to myself, that's something I personally understand. And that's just how I move with it. And so even now, like when I write stuff, I don't write stuff for an audience. I don't write it to hope you like it. I don't write it to hope it sounds good. I don't write it to be PC or to make sure that I'm on par with what's happening inside the world we live in today. There's a million problems in your backyard, right? And then we go across the world and there's another million problems. So if I want to write in that sense, I can write all day long, but I don't write in that sense because I'm not across the whole world. I'm still right here. And my experience spans from being here to how I can get from here to across the street sometimes. Or sometimes how I can get from here to go shopping. Or sometimes how I can go shopping and then have 5 things happen to me while I'm shopping at the store that I frequent that most people know me at. But then because it's all new staff on this one day, I'm treated just as a random black person in the store, right? So that's a whole life experience in itself. And I think that when I write personally from that perspective, I continue to tell my story, not just to me, but to my children and their children. So they understand not only how I move through life, but how we all can move through it. And in that sense, you know, it keeps something alive, you know?
That's beautiful.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But that's like me being all poetic and stuff. I don't
No, but
I don't want to just sound like a poet.
No, I think that's good.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense of this is the way you communicate.
So who are some of your role models? Now, you've talked a lot about your great-great-grandmother, but who are some of your other role models, ancestors that have influenced you, that are part of that process?
Okay. That's 2 different questions for me,
Sure
right?
is. I'm sure it is, yeah.
You can take 2 different routes.
We're about to go like this and come all the way back,
that's
right?
all right.
That's right. There you go.
So my process of writing is only dictated by the story and the importance of the story to my life, right? And it's very selfish, I know, but that's just how I know it to be. I'm like, it would be arrogant for me to write about your life and then expect me to be like, nope, I know everything about your life. I got it. This is the poem. Trust me. Like, what?
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy. I wouldn't do that. And then for people who say they do that, I listen to them and I let them have their piece in their bubble. But at the same time, I don't believe it because you can't possibly write the entirety of something that you don't know and live and experience.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So my process is one that always comes from me, from things that are affected through my lens of what it is, right? The heroes or the people I look up to or those who continue to give me fuel, right? You brought up the ancestors because I keep bringing up my great-great-grandma, right? Because I just think it's dope, number one.
Well, yeah.
But number two, I'm I'm a firm believer in history. And so if we don't know our history, right?
Thank you.
And there's a whole lot that we just can't do in general.
Yep.
That's just me personally, right? But history itself is a broad scale. Like history is a spectrum. It's not just the history of black people in 1994. Like that's not all of history, you know?
Right.
So the history spans from your personal history, like who your family are, who your lineage is, right? But then also the history of you as the person, where you are. So then that involves your environment, that involves your community, that involves your own actions. But then we look into the history of the environment, right? So what's the history of Seattle? You see what I'm saying? So we'll touch on Seattle. The history of Seattle, right? There's Black Seattle in 1950 to 1974. But then from 1935 to 1948, Black Seattle was in Magnolia, right? And then before then, Black Seattle was part Magnolia, but Federal Way. And Federal Way had there's a black dude in Federal Way, I cannot remember his name, but he was the first black person in Federal Way to own over 100 acres. And he owned what is Federal Way today. So one black dude owned all of Federal Way.
I
You
remember
see what I'm
I
saying?
read about that. Yeah.
That was 1901. And Washington was founded in like 1880 something. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like that part of history all affects to me personally, all affects how I move accordingly in the region I'm in, but then also accordingly with me as a person.
Yeah.
So that's, I hope that brought it back full circle.
I think so.
Yeah,
think so.
fingers crossed. We're gonna make sure. What was the question again? So I know
No,
it
just
came
wanted
back
to
full
know
circle.
role models and
Okay.
just like.
And I think you summed it up because of
you
history.
kind of summed it up because of history.
You're a history major at heart.
When I started the BSU, well, actually, we're here.
Yeah,
So
here.
it was me and this dude named Baker and this dude named Corey. We spearheaded the concept for BSU at Green River, right? And then it got shut down. And then Trayvon picked it up. I think a year later, he officially started the BSU.
Okay.
But I brought the BSU here. I revamped it at Highline Community College. I brought it to North Seattle College. We brought it back alive at South Seattle College. We revamped it at Seattle Central. Oh yeah, for like 4 years, I went up and down Washington, implementing or instilling and reinventing BSUs all the way down to Portland, and then we had 2 in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah,
Very good.
I was a historian for
Look at
BSU.
him trailblazing
know.
over here
I
at Green
know.
River.
We're
We didn't know we
we're
got a
getting-
famous
I was
person
gonna say
up
we're
in here
getting
from
more
Green
out of
River.
him than we thought.
Nah, this is just the surface, you know.
Right?
This is just a little bit. We're just gonna scratch the scratch right now.
Okay.
So you talk about in your 20s starting poetry. So what were your setbacks that you had? That kind of you look back and you say, okay, I went through that bump, but that got me here, right? At the time, you were like, I'm going through some trials.
this is
I'm
a
getting tested right
Uh-huh,
now. But now looking right now in your 30s, you're like, okay, I learned some stuff right here. It taught me A, B, and C. That's how I moved. And I know we talked before about that because you learned so much through other people who kind of poured into you also with some advice.
You know, to say it briefly, life gave everything in terms of setbacks, in terms of outcome, in terms of learning and pushing forward and growing through more. Like the biggest setback was life because it comes in waves and ebbs and flows, and every part of it becomes something that you think you knew, but then as you experience it, you realize it's something that you don't know. So, it's continuous, it's exciting, and I've learned over time that the hardest thing for me personally, I'm just gonna be talking about me. I don't want to put it in no other light besides me personally, because then it'll come off in some other way, or somebody would hear it and go, well, what about this? And I'll say, hey, look, that's your thing, that's not mine.
Right.
So for me personally, I know that life is like life would be like a partner of mine. It's like life would be the thing that you walk with to the end, right? And it's gonna challenge. If we put it in terms of marriage, right? Your first marriage is life, and you can't divorce it. You can, but you can't really divorce it. And so that's like all setbacks, all problems, all issues, all things that have sprouted in my life where I was like, ooh, this an issue. I don't like this. I understand more now that, hey, that's just life. It's cool. It's part of it.
Look how chill he is.
I know.
Oh, I'm way more chill. Look, in my 20s, it was not that. 20-year-old Jamaar was not that. He was not him at all. No.
Who was 20-year-old Jamaar?
Yeah.
20-year-old Jamaar was 20. I was 20.
What does that mean?
I was cutting up. So the reason I started via shoes is because I got kicked out of this school, right? Because real story. I got kicked out of this school for being called a nigga, right? So I went to NAACP and they asked me, well, what did you do? And I said, I got called the nigga. It happened to me. And they're like, yeah, what did you do? I said, you're missing the story. So I went to the Negro League and then they asked me the same thing. And then I went to the Urban League, they asked me the same thing. I went to all like the black organizations that represented Seattle and they asked me the same question. And the label that I got put on me was a label that I got put on when I first came to Seattle in my younger years was the label of disruption or the label of disruptive, right? So I was disruptive and abrasive and unwilling to cooperate. Like since I moved up here, those were the three titles they continued to give me, right? So in my 20s, that fueled me to be like, yo, you can't just say I'm disruptive over and over again and not give the definition. Because even then I was still flexible in learning stuff and I was open to learning new things. So when a teacher would say, oh, you're being disruptive, how so? Just explain to me.
You challenged.
Right, you see what I'm saying? Right. Since you brought it up, a bigger issue with the world we live in today and the bigger issue with just being black and being a man or a woman in society as one who's black is the problem of challenging, not the status quo, but challenging the concept that people live inside of, right?
Yep.
So language dictates your reality. Yep. And the minute I speak different than you is the minute I'm challenging all of what you've accomplished in your own mind and this little bubble you put yourself in. But the problem with that is that if you continue to live your world in this bubble of these words that you use and this language that you've used to dictate all that you are, but you've never changed anything, it's just this bubble, right?
Yeah. That's right.
So everyone's gonna be at some point challenging your reality because you refuse to grow. And then the minute you grow and change your language is the minute you have to open up anyway, right? Wow. So I was 20. Teacher would say something. I used to work out heavily. Like when I was 17, I benched 405 10 times. So there was a lot in the gym you couldn't tell me because I knew it all. Like I knew a lot of it. And I went to college. My first college I went to was Midland University in Fremont, Nebraska. So I went there and I was taking exercise science. And the teacher goes, when you first start off at working out, it's impossible for you to lift more than 60% of your body weight. Meaning if you're 200 pounds, you couldn't be able to bench more than 140 on your first time. And I raised my hand. I said, well, that's a lie. Because when I first started, I was 280, and then we're talking reps, I did 315 my first time. So what are you talking about? And he goes, no, you didn't do that. And I'm looking around like, how you gonna tell me I didn't do that?
Right. Yeah.
I did it, I lived it. He goes, no, scientifically that's not possible. I said, well, okay, well, explain to me how it's not scientifically possible then. Because apparently I'm not part of science, because I did it. So what are we going on about? And from there, the challenging of not authority, but the challenging of reality came into play. Of I'm trying to frame this mindset for young kids, and you came in and you can live that you proved it, and I don't have time for that because that makes all that I've done for 50 years a waste of my time.
Right.
Which, hey, that's part of life, man.
Yeah.
You gotta learn.
You gotta learn.
Yeah.
Yep.
But to answer your question directly, 20-year-old Jamaar was reckless.
Gotcha.
I was reckless. I didn't give there was no F's. I didn't care about none of them. None of them. All the problems, I wanted all the smoke, all of it. And
So you had that energy.
Yeah, it fuels you though. I had the energy, but I had the focus.
Okay.
And so it wasn't like I would just get up and go, I'm trying to fight today. Outside of school, yeah, we do 20-year-old stuff. But when it was inside the school, I said, all right, I gotta fight, But it's got to be in the way that it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
And I can beat you physically, but that's not going to hit the same. You'll heal from that, right?
Yeah.
You know what you're not going to heal from? If I start something right now and then leave and it's still here 10 years from now, you ain't never going to forget this. And even if you quit, it's going to go somewhere else, and I hope you see it again. You ain't never, ever, ever going to forget this. Like that, that was that
20-year-old,
yeah.
the 20-year-old side. However, with that fuel, you did leave a legacy. I mean, it's still here.
It's still here.
It is.
Right?
But
I don't think they remember you,
right.
but I think it's still there in the fuel of 20-year-old you.
I hope so. And I don't want to take the credit, because on paper Trayvon started the BSU, so I'll give it to him. That's fine. But the year before, I didn't start it because they kicked me out of school. That's why I didn't get started, because they kicked me out.
Right.
But it's good. I'm glad it continued, and I'm glad to see more of young Black students. Not even just young Black students. I'm glad to see more Black people from all walks of life coming together. Like you don't know. Like there's so much y'all don't really know, but it's good to see people coming together more than often not. So it's exciting.
So how have you changed from the 20s you to the 30s you? What changes have you seen for yourself?
I'm just more focused.
More focused. Okay.
Oh, I'm still reckless. Oh, Mark, I'm reckless.
Well, I didn't ask that.
I'm reckless. I'm gonna tell you right now.
He said the 20s side.
The 20's still there, right?
They ain't coming out. They ain't coming out. I took my child to the library, and this dude was staring, just staring. And we're at the library. It's public, right? So some other dude just passed gas, but extremely loud. Super loud. My son, he's a child. So my son was like, oh, he farted. I said, yeah, he farted. It's okay. Dude gets up and comes over to the guide. He was like, hey, man, you need to start grilling him about it. And so he's right next to my son doing this. And I said, yo, you got to take that somewhere. To the guy who came up and tried to start the issue. I said, you got to take that somewhere. Yeah, he farted. It's nasty. But at the same time, you trying to start something out of nowhere.
Right.
Go take that somewhere.
Yeah.
So now he's in my face. Like, who you talking to? I said, oh, son, stay right here. Daddy got to show you something. Because you're confused.
Okay.
You confused. You're talking to the wrong one right now, all right? But I stood up and had to help him understand in real life time.
Help him understand.
Like, hey.
I like how you use his words.
I know.
He chooses it now at
Yeah.
30.
That was poetic.
Yes. His communication.
There you go, right? I went home and wrote about it afterwards, so I knew exactly what it looked like in the story.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's still there. It's still there. It just, I'm just more focused.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
When you say focus, is it more priorities, or is it more like when you say focus on your craft, on your family, you got more to lose in that mindset of focus than when you were in 20s?
Wow. You said a lot of good words. You said a lot of good words. I'm going to touch them. I'm going to touch all of them. I'm going to hope to touch all of them, right? So we'll start backwards. The concept of having something to lose, right, would mean that you were in a position that you've gained, but it's like a fleeting position because it's not real, it's not stable. Because the minute you do something outside of this structure, you'll lose it. So it's flimsy, right? So if I feel like I have something to lose, even if I'm like, oh, even if something happens and I have to go and be in prison, that's unfortunate, right? But if I feel like I had something to lose, like losing my children wouldn't see me as less of their father if I'm in jail. If the people in my community who know me wouldn't see me as less of if I'm in a different position. They would see me as, well, hey, he stood on it and he said he was gonna stand on it. And so, hey, that's what happened. We knew going into it, this is what it looks like. And so I don't think that, for me, I don't embrace the concept of having something to lose, because then that means whatever I'm doing in general it wasn't stable to begin with, right? So the other part that you brought up was priorities. Wow. That's a good one. That's a real good one. We have this thing now that we talk about, and it's called time management, right? When I used to sell phones for Verizon, and I used to be a trainer. I used to teach people how to sell phones at Verizon. And so they would preach time management. And you have to manage your time accordingly and move like this and talk like this. And you have to understand how fast this sale goes. And if it goes farther than this, then you're losing money because yada, 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 right? And so we preach time management in the corporate world. Time management, time management, time management. And it leaks out into educational sector. It leaks out into your family. It leaks out into the community around you. It trickles down, right? But when we go back to these words, right? For me, that's the wrong word. It's priority. So it's priority management, right? Or the ability to know which priority takes precedent over another. Okay. And then if you don't have any priorities, then it shouldn't even be on your radar. You see? And so I would say that I have priority management over anything because there's family, right? And family constitutes as me directly, those who come from me directly, and those who affect me directly, right? So that's all family. And then we get community, and community is those who are affected by me, those who come from me, and those who are around me directly, and who we affect. So that community is that second level, right? And then outside of that is this ether of the world, right? And I know that's great to touch the entirety of the world, but so much can happen inside your family and your community that if you focus on that, you'd be surprised how much of the world you impact. Like I didn't realize this until like 2 years ago, but a lot of the people that I've been fortunate to work with now that we've been able to build a relationship with, they are like doing it in their sector. They doing it, and they affecting so much. But then to have the ability to say, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, Jay, what's up?" And we go back and talk, and our worlds collide to make more impact, right? Yeah. Even just in this room right now, what y'all doing right now, right? My first time seeing you, but what you doing right now, right? This is spanned from years ago. So for you to continue this and to continue to make the impact for years and then come back and then have our worlds collide again adds more impact. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so for me, it's priority, you know?
Okay, I got some wisdom in 30. I see just a little. You're still reckless. But
No, I'm all the way reckless.
It's just okay.
But like I said, I'm just more focused. And my focus is just what I prioritize. If everyone's priorities are different, but my focus is what I prioritize. In my 20s, the words that were used were consciousness, community, and liberation. And so anyone who's in a BSU or anyone who knows BSU stuff should know that the first BSU started in San Francisco State University in 1966, but on paper started in 1968. Also in 1968, Jerry Fernando and James P. Garrett started the Africana Black Studies program in San Francisco State University. That was the first of its time, 1968. From there, 37 other universities in the next year picked that program up. Now there's over, I think, 314, but it started right at that campus. And he was the same person who started the BSU. And he started the BSU for the same reason he started the Africana Studies. And it was the consciousness, community, liberation. Wow. So those three things, like that was the movement, you know. That was that was 2010's movement, you know.
Gotcha. All right. So what is the movement now?
It's just me being focused.
Gotcha. So more rooted in yourself.
Yeah.
I like that.
I know it's selfish. I know.
Be
I'm
selfish.
okay with that. You got to be, right?
Yes, be selfish.
But it's important to be. And here's why. Everyone in the world wants to help everyone else in the world, right? And it trickles all the way down to your neighbor, right? Everyone's helpful. Everyone wants to protest about the next issue. Everyone wants to gather and march about this situation. We all want to pitch in and solve these problems. Well, here's something I'll challenge you to do right now. If you have, and I know a lot of white people who have this, right? If you yourself have 2 homes in the same region, right? Let's say you have 2 condos in the same region, right? And you live in one condo, and you know you ain't giving that condo to nobody else. But then you off being a social justice warrior and a whatever other warrior you want to be, right? But outside your second condo, there's like 15 homeless people. And you ain't even using your condo. So do you really care about it? Or is it just part of what we're talking about right now?
Performative.
Right. You see? So like, it's cool to want to help, but the best way to help somebody is to help yourself. And the more you can help yourself, the more you can help people around you. That's why I say, it's me. If I'm helping me, I'm helping all my kids. You know, I want a dozen kids. I came from one of 10, so I want at least 10 kids, right?
God bless
So I got, hey, look, I got work to do, you know?
God bless them.
I got work to do, but you know.
got work
That's
and
a lot of work and income, yes.
Yes.
But I'm looking at Mark right now. He still look young. He still look active. So it's inspiring to me. It's inspiring. I know I can keep going.
I'm getting I'm gonna write you a check. Bless your heart. Oh, and not the Southern bless your heart. That's gonna bless your heart. Seriously.
I feel it too. I feel the blessing. But it's important, you know, because we if I just want to impact me alone, that would affect all my lineage. But then I got 9 other siblings.
Yeah.
So just working on me, I have to affect them, and then all my 9 siblings.
Yeah.
And then I'd have all my friend group, right?
Yep.
That could be a lifetime right there. Let's say you only work minimum wage for the rest of your life, but your life is set up and squared to where, hey, my minimum wage job takes care of all these things for me. Now I got a little extra to take care of the next. The next has to be the one closest to you.
Yep.
And if you keep in the circle, you can spend your whole life just working on the people around you.
Yeah. Wow.
As opposed to, and ain't nothing wrong with donating to charities. Ain't nothing wrong with giving to galas and fundraisers that have these organizations that support other places. Ain't nothing wrong with that, right? But there's something to be said about the people who give these large donations or are these front runners for these ideologies I don't want to say the wrong word, so we'll say these ideologies of benefiting the rest of society, right? And they give all this money and all this resource and all these visible things on paper that look great, but in reality, like you really ain't doing nothing, right? If we can pick on someone because he ain't really here, we probably ain't never gonna meet him, right? Jeff Bezos, when I was doing security for Amazon, he was building the Mary's place, right? And the place cost $22 million at the time. I'm sure he poured more money into it, but also my boys got, you know, billions of dollars. So $20 million to a billionaire is like $1. So essentially he just gave $1 to some people and said, here you go, right? But if we give $1, right? If I'm working and I get paid $15 an hour and I'm working 40 hours a week and then I give $100 to a charity, hey, that's serious.
That is, yeah.
Like that's half my day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But for someone who's got way more money, right? $1 to him could look like 50 million.
Yeah.
And to us, it would be this amazing, oh, he gave 50 million. Hey, but in reality, you know he made 50 million yesterday. Like for 4 hours. That's what he made in 4 hours.
Right.
So it's not even a sweat for him.
Yeah.
And it's that.
It's amazing.
It's that, man, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I say if you want to help somebody, help yourself. It's got to be selfish.
And the impact that
And the
trickles
impact.
down.
Yeah.
I love that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that it trickles down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know we're gonna wrap up with
A beautiful poem.
a beautiful.
Yeah.
We're gonna let you
We're gonna let you do your
do
stuff.
your gifts and talents.
I get to cut loose?
You're gonna
cut
cut
loose.
loose.
I get to cut loose? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, hold
Go-
up.
Let's both get
Are
some
we
water.
ready?
Yeah, I'm going to get some water. We're going to have some fun with this one.
Hold up. I'm gonna get me my water ready to go.
As we all.
Because we all gotta stay hydrated.
All right.
Cause you're gonna cut loose. I know this.
Well, I mean, if it's cool if I can, right?
Go in
Is
the
it
deep.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You want to stand or you want to sit? You feel what you
I'm
feeling?
thinking about the poem right now.
Okay,
I'm trying to think which one. 'Cause now I get to really cut up. So let me see.
Look, we get to watch.
I know.
I know which one I'm going to do. All right.
Okay. Oh, get the mic.
Look at. See, you
See,
got me.
I got you.
Now here's the thing though, right? When I learn poetry and stuff, like the formal way to do it is to stand and be a part of it. You can sit down and do all that and talk, and that's cool, but you know it's important to be a part of it. And so we're gonna see how that works.
Oh, before you go, he likes his full clap. Okay, no snaps.
Hello.
Okay,
Whoa.
let me let you know if you ever go to his show. He don't want no snaps.
Tell him about it.
He wants the full clap.
Yeah.
Give him all his love.
Yeah.
See, I told you, I've been to a couple. I know.
Amanda's on. She's all the way on. I love that. Now I'm gonna go to work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because some people do the little. No, he don't want those snaps.
Nah. And to be brief about it, no snaps, because that comes from slavery, and I don't do that. So we can go deep into it, but we ain't gonna go that deep into it. Okay. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Breathe. 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 In through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathe. Fill up the stomach, then the lungs, next the brain, and last the mind. And let the air flow from the roof of your mouth. Breathe. Feel the life surge into your body. Let it control you. Let it flow through every cavity of your brain, oozing into the deepest, darkest corners of your mind. Let it consume every cell in your blood until your body becomes one with the air. You are now the wind. You are now nature. You are now the ocean, the skies and the trees. We are now connected. Can you feel the beauty? Can you feel the peace and the love as you start to wonder, why do we breathe? Can you feel it? The ripple of the wind, a wrinkle in time, very fickle, but it bends my reality, brings my existence to knees as my senses grow distant and split through the trees. The first two were captured, the third one was mastered, the fourth and the fifth one would die shortly after. The sixth of my senses were sewn into senseless commitments of wenches and misfits and thieves. Breathe. Where am I? The sky is filled with smoke. My stomach burns, my lungs a furnace for the fire in my throat. So where am I? What happened to the peace? I breathe in creation, but this land is deceased. I've handed the keys of life to the keeper of grim and dim seasons for reasons that recently been the wind's pretense prevented the evil and sin. Seeing these men as senses and equal as kin ships throughout the world as frequent as wind, but the wind doesn't touch these sails. They float by in the breeze. Wait, why can't I breathe? I stand face to face with reality, realizing that he's been with me all along. I tell him, my condolences to your mother. He tells me that the truth is alive and well, but she can only be seen by those who look. And she will only show those willing to see. Sadly, you will never find her inside of a dream. The darkness in his eyes sent a wave of chills down my spine as I asked him, what's up? The infant mortality rate among your people, that's what's up. The number of single parents in government homes in your community, that's what's up. What's up is the number of black people dying from curable diseases. The number of your people risking everything to be falsely educated. The amount of money spent outside of the community. The amount of other people that profit off of your culture. The number of black children dying from black children, white children, Asian children, Hispanic children, white men, white women, white supremacy, Western civilization, the parasitic elite, big pharma, big tobacco, standardized testing, Eurocentric brainwashing, gentrification, sexual confusion and identification, integration, mental manipulation, spiritual degradation, monopolization, your car note, your electric bill, your phone bill, your cable bill, your Wi-Fi, your groceries, the water you drink, your rent, the cost of your living, the cost of your organs, the cost of your melanin, the profit margin of the prison industrial complex over the past 10 years. There's a whole lot that's up, but you are not it. You stand by on the wayside, chasing a renewable resource, hoping that it will create and fuel your dreams, forgetting that only thoughts can create and only the mind can dream. And the tank is fuel full of imagination. And as you circle the path to success, your brain, the vehicle that will take you down this road, begins to rust and fade away, because you will fade away. And all that will be left is your people, your community, your legacy. And your people are lost. And then reality swings, and the force brings me to my knees. Your community is divided. As I become blind, deaf, and dumb, and numb to his presence, for my senses have left me. You have failed, and now the air is partly smoke, and I can't breathe, but I don't care. I start to choke. Still no air, but in the corner of my mind, I see the mother of reality. I tell her, I can't breathe. I'm yelling, I can't breathe. I'm screaming, I can't breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathe. Fill up the stomach, then the lungs, next the brain, and last the mind. And let the air flow from the roof of your mouth. Breathe. And hold. Hold it tight. Let your stomach and lungs contract as they try and save every last ounce of breath. Let your brain fire signals rapidly to the heart of panic and fear as your senses run wild and untamed. Let your mind cloud with thoughts of anger and hate and death. And when you think you can't go on no more, hold on, just hold on, but don't you dare take that breath. So we hold on. We hold on when baskets break our back as we make our way up and down fields. Who knew cotton could be so heavy? We hold on to the drums and the stars that guide us through this land, even when some of us might not be ready. We hold on when white hoods and white sheets creep through the night, setting fire to every crop in town that we own. We hold on to the food and the language and the books they give that destroy and degrade our homes. We hold on when little boys and little girls get blown up in the church or beaten, stabbed, and hung and drowned. We hold on when nothing has really changed for 500 years, and all we try and do is make a sound. We've been holding on for generations. More like they've been trying to take my breath for 500 years, because they know that once I breathe, it'll take the combined forces of the world to try and stop me, just to fall short of victory, a global suicide mission. And I've been nice, I've smiled and sung and danced, I've laughed and hugged, and yes sir, and yes ma'am, but I am done. I'm done explaining why you better not call me a nigga. I don't care how many black friends you got. I'm done being the token in this room that shows this group has diversity. I'm done being politically correct, because politics don't come correct to me anyway. I'm done using my inside voice, because in the pyramid, my voice echoes from chamber to chamber. I'm done being broke. I'm done being a thug or an athlete or a rapper. There isn't a stereo loud enough to tell you what type I am. I'm done living in fear. I'm done standing a lie. I stand facing the truth. I won't run. I won't hide. I'm done playing this game, and I won't hold on anymore. So if you are done being a slave to your weakness, chained up in greed, locked in a culture that aims to be free, if you are done playing victim and ready to be, if you were done building somebody else's dream, then no more code switching, no more tap dancing, no more passive excuses when you really just want to say step off, no more holding it in, because there's greatness inside and the world needs to see it. It needs to breathe. It needs to live. So if you're ready to stand, if you were ready to change, if you were done holding on, then breathe. Breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathe. Fill up the stomach, then the lungs, next the brain, and last the mind. And let the air flow from the roof of your mouth. Breathe. Wake up from the dream called society. Shower your body with love. Brush the negativity from your tongue. Scrub and rinse the oppression like dandruff from your scalp. Dry off all the haters. Moisturize the community. Address all your strengths and style them as needed. Buckle up your desires so they won't sag or hold you down. Arm your brain with knowledge. Load your mind with positivity. open the door to the world, and reclaim your freedom.
Come on. Oh, you could do whatever you want.
I'm out.
Yeah, if you can walk out with that, that's a drop mic.
I'm scared. I do.
Oh my God. Amazing.